Bezos Hashem, Erev Shabbos Kodesh, Parashat Pinchas, Tov Shian Pei Beis. There is a famous joke, a Jewish joke, is that a man came to the rabbi and said to him, "Rabbi, I want to buy the kahuna, to be a Kohen." Says Rabbi, "I'm sorry, my dear friend, kahuna is not for sale." So he said, "Listen, in America everything is for sale, even the Brooklyn Bridge is for sale." He said, "I'm sorry, it really isn't for sale." He said, "Rabbi, tell me what you need in the Beit HaKnesset, I will donate, just give me this kahuna." He said, "My dear friend, kahuna is not for sale, but why do you want to be a Kohen?" He said, "Because my father was a Kohen, my grandfather was a Kohen, so I as well want to be a Kohen." He said, "You don't have what to worry, you are a Kohen. If your father's a Kohen, you are as well a Kohen. You inherited the kahuna from your father and your grandfather." But this is how generally it works. Everyone's father or grandfather is a Kohen, he as well is a Kohen automatically. But there was one person in the whole of the history that he wasn't, his father was a Kohen, his grandfather was a Kohen, but he himself didn't merit yet to be a Kohen. That was Pinchas. Pinchas, his father was a Kohen, his grandfather was a Kohen, but he wasn't a Kohen. Do you know why? Because at first, everyone was a Levi. Aharon was a Levi, his children were Leviim, everyone came from the tribe of Levi. We were all Leviim, they were all Leviim. But then, when they built the Mishkan, HaKadosh Baruch Hu said to Moshe Rabbeinu, that your brother Aharon will become a Kohen. Give him the Shemen Mishchas HaKodesh, the holy oil, and anoint him to Kohuna, him and his 4 sons, Nadav, Avihu, Elazar, Isamar, they will all be Kohanim and serve in the Beis HaMikdash. The rest of the tribe of Levi will continue to be Leviim, but Aharon and all his descendants, they will be Kohanim. So anoint Aharon and his 4 sons. But the grandchildren, you don't anoint them. They will automatically, when they will be born, automatically will be born into the tribe of Kohuna. But Pinchas was already born. Pinchas, the son of Elazar, the son of Aharon, he was a grandson of Aharon, he was already born. He was, as you will say, catch-22. He wasn't anointed because you can only anoint Aharon and his 4 sons, not the grandchildren. And yet, he was already born, so he wasn't automatically born into the kahuna. So Aharon, for 39 years, lived as a Levi. He wasn't a Kohen. His brothers were Kohanim. His grandfather was Kohanim. Imagine how he must have felt, Aharon a Kohen, standing outside, standing on the side of the Beis HaMikdash, like everyone else, watching his brothers and his nephews and his father and all his cousins, everyone serving the Beis HaMikdash. It's amazing, korbanos, and eating truma. He must have been at home, Pinchas, and his brothers must have said to him, "Pinchas, you can't eat this is truma. These are only for Kohanim. Pinchas, we got a very busy day in the Beis HaMikdash. Do you mind taking care of the children?" Because Pinchas was left behind. How did he feel for 39 years being a Levi and not being part of the Kohuna? Him and all his future children as well. But then, at that day, when Pinchas put aside his whole negias that he could have had, I must have felt that, why am I not a Kohen? Why didn't I get that respect? He put that all aside. When he saw that there was disrespect to the Ribono Shel Olam, Kovod Shomayim, there's a Chilul Hashem, the name of Hashem is being desecrated by Zimri ben Solu, the Kozvi Bast Sur, he put away his own negias. I don't care about my code. Hashem made me a Kohen, didn't make me a Kohen. I'm going to be Moser Nefesh for the Kovod of Hashem. And he went and he killed Zimri ben Solu with great Mesiros Nefesh. He didn't know he was going to survive it, but he didn't look at his own kovod. He didn't put his own complaints. He didn't have any complaints to Hashem. On the contrary, he gave up his life, Mesirut Nefesh, for HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Said Hashem, you will merit Bris Kuhunas Oilam. You will merit to be a Kohen. And not Stam a Kohen, he even had the schus to be all the Kohanim Gedolim, 380 Kohanim Gedolim, 80 Kohanim Gedolim from Beis HaMikdash Harishon, 300 Kohanim Gedolim were the high priests of the Bayis Sheni. all were descendants of Pinchas. Because when somebody puts away his own honor, when somebody does for HaKadosh Baruch Hu's honor, he's zocher to the greatest honor. Hashem pays you back so much more. Not only was he a Kohen, he was zocher to Kohuna Gedoyla. He was zocher to Kohuna Gedoyla, 380 Kohanim Gedoylim. Actually, there's a Baal HaTurim that says it's Merumas. The V'hini Noisen es Brisi Shalom, Shin Lamed Vov Mem, Shin Lamed Vov Mem, but the Vov is very generally, if a ois is broken in the Torah, if it's not written, it's not a whole letter, then the whole Sefer Torah is pasul. You have to put it back in Oren HaKodesh. Besides a one letter. In this week's Parsha, Shin Lamed Vov Mem, the Vov is a broken Vov. It's like a Yud, and then the leg of the Vov, and a break in the middle. It's called a broken Vov. It's the only letter in the Torah that's allowed to be broken. And if you look at the Gematria, Shin Lamed Yud and the Mem, how much does it come together? It's a 380, which is a remez for the 380 Kohanim Gedolim, which were the descendants of Pinchas. But let's have a look what the Gemara says in Zvochim Kuf Aleph Amud Beis, page number 101 in Meseches Zvochim. Omar Reb Elazar, Omar Reb Chanina. Lo niskayin Pinchas ad shehargo Zimri. Pinchas only became a Kohen only after he killed Zimri. And we know he did the great Kiddush Hashem. And he was a Levi for 39 years. He became a Kohen only when he killed Zimri ben Solu. D'chsiv, as it says in the Pasuk, V'hoi soloi ulezaroi acharov bris kunas oilam. He will merit the priesthood, him and all his descendants forever. Rav Ashi has a different opinion. Rav Ashi's opinion is a very big chidush. What does Rav Ashi say? He says something else. He said, Lo niskayin Pinchas. Pinchas only merited to become a priest ad shesom sholem bein hashvatim. Only when he brought peace amongst the tribes of Am Yisrael. In Sefer Yeshua, there's a story which we're soon going to speak about what happened, but there was a story that took place in Sefer Yeshua, Perek Chof Beis, and it says over there, Vayishma Pinchas HaKoyen. Pinchas, the high priest, became bezoicha to Kohuna. And the question is, when did Pinchas become a Kohen? The Pasuk says, Tachas ashekino lekine lelekov. The Pasuk says he was zoicha to priesthood because he went and he avenged the covet of Hashem. That's why he was zoicha to Kohuna. And Rav Ashi, the Gemara in Zvochim, Daf Kuf Aleph and Beis, says a whole new pshat. He says he only was zoicha to Kohuna when he brought peace amongst the tribes in Sefer Yeshua. How can Rav Ashi go against a pasuk in the Torah where the Torah says he was zoicha to Kohuna, Tachsa shekine lelekov? So what was the story that took place over there in Yeshua, Perek Chof Beis? The story is that after Yeshua entered Eretz Yisrael and conquered Eretz Yisrael, so he gave Eretz Yisrael to 9.5 tribes, was split between them, but 2.5 tribes, that means Bnei Gad, Bnei Reuven, and Chetzi Shevet Menashe, they didn't settle in Eretz Yisrael, they settled over the Yarden, in Jordan, over Me'eva LeYarden. And then one day they saw that they built a Mizbeach outside Me'eva LeYarden, but they got of Bnei Reuven brought this beautiful big Mizbeach. And it was against the Jewish law to build the Mizbeach outside the Mishkan. Because at the time there was Mishkan Shiloh in Eretz Yisrael. And if you were to build the Mizbeach, and you were to sacrifice on the Mizbeach outside the Mishkan Shiloh, then it's like you are serving Avodah Zorah. Says a Pasuk, the Am Yisrael wanted to go, La'lo Yisaleim Latzovo. They wanted to go and wage war against the Shvatim which built a Mizbeach Me'eva LeYarden. But Pinchas said, let me go. Pinchas went first. And he asked them, why are you building a Mizbeach? Are you building it to serve Avodah Zorah? Says the tribe said to Pinchas, Chas v'sholom, not trying to serve Avodah Zorah. But the reason is, we are worried for the future, our future children, descendants, that your descendants will tell our descendants that the Mishkan belongs to us. We who live in Eretz Yisrael merit to serve in the Beis HaMikdash, merit to bring korbanos and sacrifice to the Beis HaMikdash. You, Bnei God of Bnei Reuven, you live out of Eretz Yisrael, you don't have any rights to the Beis HaMikdash. So in order that we should always remember that there is no difference between us, we built as well a Mizbeach as just a model, a Mizbeach, just to build a Mizbeach, just that we should remember for all generations that a Mizbeach is as well shaykh to us like it's shaykh to the Ummahs in Eretz Yisrael. So that we should always know that we have a kesher to the Beis HaMikdash, and for future descendants will recognize our rights to the Beis HaMikdash. We built a Mizbeach to commemorate that fact. So then it says, Vayishma Pinchas HaKohen. The first time Pinchas is called a Kohen, when he understood that they really had Cheshbonos Shomayim, their right. And so he came back and he told Am Yisrael, they're not serving Avodah Zarah, there's no reason to go to war. They're doing it because they're worried for the future descendants. And he stopped the war. He diffused the tension. And that's when the Torah, for the very first time, called Pinchas, Vayishma Pinchas HaKohen. Pinchas accepted the reasoning, and he diffused the war. He stopped the war that was about to take place. Says Rav Ashi, that's why he was Zoicha to Kohuna. He was Zoicha to Kohuna, like the Apostle called him, Yishma Pinchas HaKohen. So the question is, when did Pinchas merit priesthood? Was it Tachas HaShekinah Le'Elokov, like it says in this week's parasha? Or is it because Vayishma Pinchas HaKohen, when he merited to bring peace amongst Am Yisrael, like Rav Ashi says? Which one was the one that merited to bring Pinchas, to make him into a Kohen? So says, based on the Maharal, in Beseches Ovos, Sefer, Derech HaChaim, Perek Hey, Mishnah Yud Aleph. It is kedai to see the Maharal inside over there, but I just explain the understanding what he says. It says Pinchas, that Pinchas may have been a person, when he sees something, he straight away goes for it. He goes and he fights. He's a fighter. Pinchas goes and stands up for the bad, stand up for the good. And he avenges what he sees is being done wrong. Chilul Hashem. That is his ofi. That is his nature. His nature is kanaot. If so, he doesn't merit such a great merit. That means he's not a person that did becheshbon, that did it through a calculation of cheshbonos shomayim. When Pinchas afterwards brought peace amongst Am Yisrael, then he proved that it's not just his nature that goes kanaut, everything he does. Then he ought to be the first one to go to Bnei God of Bnei Reuven to avenge the Kovod Hashem. Why are you building a Mizbeach? Instead, there Pinchas says, no, here I'm not using kanaot. Here I need to speak to them. It doesn't make sense. Why should they want tzaddikim to serve Avodah Zarah? I'm going to go and speak to them. From here we see Pinchas was in charge of his emotions. Pinchas wasn't being dragged by his emotions, kanaot, in this parsha. The parsha of Pinchas was through calculation. When he realized that the Chilul Hashem, in this instance, had to do kanaot. But it came through calculation. It came through cheshbon. It came through that he's in control of his emotions. And how do we know that? Because when there's a story in Yeshua, he then decided, no, here I have to speak to them. Here I have to try to settle what's taking place. And he brought Shalom. Then Pinchas proved that he is in charge of his emotions. And when he did, here in Parshas Pinchas came through a calculation of L'Shem Shomayim. It wasn't just a kanaot. It was something that he understood. There are times when you have to do kanaot. There are times when you have to bring shalom. And therefore, that's when he received the kohuna. He received the priesthood when he proved that what he does, The kanot that he did in Pinchas was through a calculation, and that he understood that this is an instance that needs kanot. When there's an instance that needs to bring shalom, he brings shalom. That is a tzaddik. A tzaddik is somebody who doesn't follow his emotions. On the contrary, he's in control of his emotions, and he does always what's right in every situation. When a person can prove he does what's right in every situation, that is a tzaddik. And such a, then he got his reward to be a Vayishma Pinchas HaKohen. Why? Because of the Kanaot, we realize it was really L'Shem Shemaim through calculation of that was the instance that he realized needs to be done through Kanaos. Just to finish with a story, to illustrate this, the holy Rabbi Aryeh Levine, he lived in Yerushalayim almost 100 years ago. And then the Yidden were suffering greatly. It was poverty. There were people in Bet Asoah. He used to go to the Bochrim, daven by them, daven in the prisons in Yerushalayim. He was called the Rav of the prison. And there it was still under the British rule. And some of the boys actually were punished, capital punishment. And he was mechazek them, speak with them, and try to be able to save their lives. And one Shabbos on his way home, he saw a demonstration that there was a car who drove in Malchei Yisrael, Chilel HaShabbos, Hashem Yirachem, and they were shouting, Shabbos, Shabbos! And Rabbi Aryeh Levine, as he was walking past, he turned around and he joined the demonstration, and he as well started to shout, Shabbos, Shabbos! And then afterwards he continued to go home. And his son asked him, Tata, he said, my dear father, it's not your way to stand by these demonstrations and shout Shabbos, Rabbi Aryeh Levine, this wasn't his derech. So he said, we're going to see what it means, the tzaddik, the calculations of a tzaddik. Said the holy Rabbi Aryeh Levine, as I was walking past, I was thinking, if I will not take part of the demonstration, then the driver of the car will see me and say, see that rabbi? He doesn't bother him that I'm being Mechalel Shabbos. Look, he's walking past, he understands me. So in order that I have to show that it pains me as well, the Chilul Shabbos, I had to join the demonstration. He shouldn't think that I don't care about the Chilul Shabbos that's taking place. Here we see that's what Pinchas taught us. The life of Pinchas. Pinchas, the story by us in Parashat Pinchas. The story in Sefer Yeshua Perek of Beis. They're both teaching us what it is a tzaddik. How Hashem rewards a person. He rewards when you serve Hashem. You serve Hashem, you're in control of your emotions. In every situation you know what is the best possible way to serve Hashem in this situation. Then you deserve to the great reward of Oivet Hashem. Thank you very much for listening. We deserve to have a wonderful Shabbos.